Hello and welcome to Exam Minded YouTube channel. Today we are going to see previously asked question of the chapter Prime Minister and Council of Minister in ICSE Class 10th board. So let's begin by solving these questions. Before moving forward, let us revise quickly. Who was Prime Minister? He was the executive head. And who were the Council of Ministers? Selected, or we can say appointed by the president. And who is advising the president? The prime minister is advising the president to appoint these council of ministers. Then we have talked about individual and collective responsibilities. The council of ministers were collectively responsible to the Lok Sabha and individually responsible to the president, as they hold office during the pleasure of the president. And what were the powers and functions of the cabinet? There were 4 powers: administrative, legislative, financial and emergency. In administrative powers, they had all those powers of making the policy and implementing them and coordinating the functions of various ministries. Next, if we see the legislative powers, then the legislative bill making powers, source of information and amending the constitution, also calling the parliament for the meeting. These all things were there in the legislative function. Financial powers were of making budget and finances of the government and introducing the money bill. And if we see the emergency power, then in written, council of ministers give it to president when president has to proclaim a emergency. Moving forward to the position and power of the prime minister, as we know, he is the head of the government. Also, he acts as a link between the president and the council of ministers. He is also a chairman of the planning commission and atomic energy commission. And we should remember that there were 3 ranking given to the council of ministers. First were the cabinet minister, second were minister of state, and third were the deputy minister. What was the difference between council of ministers and the cabinet? If this is the council of minister, then this is the cabinet. The inner circle of the council of minister is the cabinet. I hope this point is clear to you. And you comment down if one person has been not a member or not been elected as a member of the parliament, can they become a minister? Answer this below. So let's begin. Our first question is, explain briefly the position and powers of the prime minister in relation to the cabinet. So what position does the prime minister hold? Prime minister is the head of the council. Also, he is the real executive authority and act as a link between president and the council of ministers, and he also presides over the meeting of the cabinet. And what powers does the prime minister have? So prime minister is the advises the president to whom to elect as a minister, and also prime minister is distributing the portfolios among the council of ministers. He is presiding over the meetings and coordinating between the different leaders, as we have seen in the chapter that he has to coordinate and has to gain the power of the ministers also. And he acts as a spokesperson and has a collective responsibilities towards the Lok Sabha. I hope this point is clear to you. Moving forward to the next question, distinguish between cabinet and council of ministers. So as we know, cabinet is smaller in size, council of ministers are the we can say that cabinet is subset of the council of ministers. And if we see the composition, then it includes only the cabinet minister. Cabinet is including only cabinet minister, while council of ministers include 3 type of minister: cabinet, ministry of state and deputy minister. Decision making powers, then cabinet is taking all the major decisions and implementation is done by council of ministers. And they meet, cabinet people meet very frequently, and council of ministers meet not so frequently. Also, we have seen that cabinet is collectively responsible and it has to derive the policies. Whatever the policies are made, it is decided by the council, by the cabinet, whereas council as a whole is responsible to the Lok Sabha, but they are acting on whose decision? On the decision of the cabinet. So here cabinet is more powerful than the council of minister. Moving forward with the next question, mention the 3 categories of ministers in order of their rank and status. 3 category of ministers: cabinet minister, minister of state Deputy Minister. Who is Cabinet Minister? They are the senior most who are heading important ministries, and they are forming the they make the co-decision making body. Who is Ministry of State? They may have independent charges of the ministry or assist the cabinet minister, and deputy minister, they are assisting them. They are the junior most, third in the ranking. Moving forward, mention any 4 legislative powers of the cabinet. So we know that it prepares and introduces the government bill in the parliament, and we can also say the money bill is represented by the cabinet. Also, they advises the president to summon and prorogue parliament session, and they also advise the president in accordance to the putting the emergency, also guide and steals the debates, and whatever questions are being asked in the floor of the parliament, cabinet is responsible to answer these questions. Moving forward, who heads the council of minister? Who is heading it? Prime Minister is heading it. What happens if non-member of parliament is appointed as a minister? If non-member who is not elected to be a member of parliament, then what happens? He must be elected within 6 months. He can be elected or he can also be nominated. I think this point is clear to you. Which statement about the Council of Ministers? Okay, this question is complete. We'll see it afterwards. Now let's move to the next question. Who is known as the keystone of the cabinet arc? Who is known as the keystone? It is Prime Minister who is known as the keystone. How is Council of Ministers appointed? So, President appoints them on advice of Prime Minister. To which house is the Council of Ministers responsible? They are responsible to Lok Sabha. What must ministers do before they join? What they should do? They should take oath. There were 2 types of oath we have talked about. Oath of office, and the next one was secrecy. There was oath of office and oath of secrecy. They should take. And who is administering it? The president is administering this oath. Now answer this very short question answers. Who appoint the prime minister? Our president is appointing him. Name 3 categories of minister. Again, cabinet minister, ministers of state, and deputy minister. Define collective responsibility. What is collective responsibility? The entire council of ministers is jointly responsible to the Lok Sabha. If it loses confidence, all must resign. Collectively responsible to the Lok Sabha. If one loses, everyone is resigning. Moving forward, what is the difference between individual and collective responsibility? So, individually they are responsible to president, whereas collectively they are responsible to the house, that is Lok Sabha. Moving forward, what are legislative powers of the cabinet? What were the legislative powers? They have the powers of introducing the bill in the house. They had the source of information, and they have also the power to amend the constitution, bring the bill for the amendment, and also they can summon the houses of the parliament. They cannot directly summon, but they can ask president to summon them. And they also, when president is putting forward its first special address after the first general election, then they have to pass it, and also they can issue the ordinance, and if ordinance is issued, they have to pass it also. Okay, moving forward, under what provisions can someone who is not a member of parliament become a minister? If prime minister is advising the president to elect that person as a minister, then that person can become a minister, owing that within 6 months that person has to be either elected or nominated for this house. Moving forward, explain the position and power of prime minister in relation to the cabinet. I think this question we have completed. What do you understand by the term council of minister? So answer this question. What do you understand by the term council of minister, and explain its composition, role, and responsibilities. So, Council of Ministers are appointed by the President on the advice of the Prime Minister, and they are including 3 types of ministries commented below. Which 3 kind of ministries do they have? And they are also responsible to the Lok Sabha. And what are their functions? Policy making functions, administration, legislative, financial, and emergency power mentioned below. The cabinet is the heart of the executive. Explain this statement with reference to its power: administrative, legislative, financial, and emergency. So answer it. How it is the heart of the executive? Because it is real decision making. It has the real decision making power, and it frames the policies. Whatever the policies are going to be implemented, they are framing it, controls the administration, initiates the legislation, and also manages the finances. And whenever emergency is to be declared, their written permission is required by the president. Moving forward, suppose a minister resigns on moral ground after a departmental failure. Does this represent individual responsibility or collective responsibility? Justify. So what do you think? Which kind of responsibility it is? It is a individual responsibility. Why? Because the minister is accountable for his or her own department. They are responsible for their own department. Okay, so it is a individual responsibility. In a coalition government, what challenges can arise for a prime minister in managing the council of ministers? In coalition government, what is a coalition government? First you say, coalition government is that form of government where the different parties are coming together and forming a government. So these different parties may have different ideologies. उनके सोचने का तरीका अलग हो सकता है. So owing to this different ideologies, their way of working may differ, and their target groups for whom they want to work can differ. So they may engage in a conflict. Thus, balancing interest of different parties, maintaining the unity among the ministers, deciding the portfolios, which person to be given what, and ensuring the collective responsibility when they have a different point of view and when their views are differing, then that is a challenge which prime minister is going to face. And so these were the practice questions, and also these all were asked in the previous year question. I hope you found this video informative. Do comment down below if you want me to explain any other chapter. Thank you.